Hey Ringside crew, welcome to the internationally known Dudes at Ringside podcast. And now here's your host, Joe Panther III.
Hello there, wrestling fans, and welcome to another episode of the internationally known Dudes at Ringside podcast. I am Joe Panther III, and man, last year I had this young lady on the podcast, and I had to hire a butcher just to re-stitch together back her name because I butchered it and I felt so bad. So I had to bring her back on because I know she's been doing some awesome things. Let's give a warm Dudes at Ringside welcome back to the Priestess Lee. Welcome back, Priestess. Welcome back.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure
Awesome.
to be here.
So, what have you been up to since the last time we were in the studios together?
I've been doing a lot of training. I've been working hard on training mostly.
Awesome.
So been getting a few matches in, and I've still been doing a lot of valeting. So a lot of that has been taking up my time too.
Awesome. So who have you been valeting?
I valet for Taylor the Impaler.
Ooh, awesome. Taylor the Impaler. So
yeah, Jordy Taylor.
Awesome. That's so awesome. That's so awesome. Cool. Tell them I say hi.
I will for sure.
Awesome. So have you been thinking of trying to travel outside of Canada and come to the States, or are you just going to stay in Canada this year?
I would like to. Possibly going over to Washington has been mentioned. I haven't dived too far into it yet. I'm kind of still focusing on just really honing in on my training, getting all of that nice and crisp, and eventually I'd like to branch off into Washington and states close to here.
Awesome. Is there any wrestlers from Canada that you or in the States that you've been wanting to branch off and work with that you haven't had the chance to pick their bones and try to figure them out yet?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, there's some women in Alberta that I would love to work with. Even the other side of Canada, like Toronto area, there's a lot of women over there that I'd like to work with too.
Oh.
Yeah, for sure. There's actually, there are plenty of women in the BC region, but I find that there are a lot more the further out you go in Canada. So that's definitely something I want to work towards.
Do you have any, since we spoke last time, is there anything crazy, stories you've had so far since we've worked together?
I've done a few things. Last year I dove off a cage. That was fun. That was definitely out of my comfort zone. That was in Port Alberni on Vancouver Island. Yeah, that was probably one of the biggest highlights of last year. I definitely had never done anything like that before. And this year we had WrestleFest on the island as well. I don't live on the island, but I do work there a lot. Yeah, WrestleFest, that was great. It was big. It was a huge show. It was one of the biggest for the promotion. And that was, so much fun.
Awesome
to be a part of.
You're gonna laugh. You said jump off the top of a cage. I'm a podcaster, and they let me get in a ring this year at a show called Smash Masters in PA, and they let me get to the ropes, you take a picture by the ropes, and they said you want to go by the rope, and the first thing I do is back up, boop boop, and I'm on the middle rope, and I'm looking the little kid looking off the slide, going, "Whew, if I fall." But in my head, I was like, Rey Mysterio could do this. I could do it.
That's
what would you You know that Priestess, you know that bracelets the kids had in the 90s, what would Jesus do? Like I had in my head, what would Rey Mysterio do? Like in my head, like in the middle of the room, like if Rey could do it, I could do it. And like, yeah, he could also hurt both my knees and buckle like that guy in that meme. Like,
Oh god, that yeah, I think about that a lot. Too much. I don't
yeah,
like to, but
yeah.
that lives in everybody in the back of their mind.
You know the one I'm talking about, the wolf guy that's in the car, that stupid video that floats around Instagram all the time. And it's funny, Priestess. My dad sends me that video like on a daily basis. Like sends me that video. And I'm like, Dad, you know I won't practically throw up in my mouth every time I see that video. He's like, really? And I'm like, yeah. I see the guy on the top rope and I go, like, oh, it's about to happen. He's about to get put down. Like, oh.
Some people are crazy, man. Some
But I
crazy
don't even think
stuff.
that guy was a wrestler. You know, Princess Lee. I don't think he was really a wrestler. I think he was a backyard wrestler. So he's got to go to get trained.
Oh, was
Like,
he?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's important.
when you like for your training, like the week of a show, how do you like break your training down before you do a show? Is there like 1 week is weights, the next week is like throwdowns and jumps and stuff like that? How do you break down your schedule for before a show?
To be honest, I mean, they're not separate. I train right now. I'm only training once a week, so I train every Sunday. But weekends of show days, like I keep my workouts and my, like body training. I keep that throughout the week. Sundays I do wrestling training, and then usually like show weekends, they can be pretty busy. So a lot of that's just a lot of traveling and like going over your match and stuff like that. So I've kind of got a nice little routine, but yeah, everything has its place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When it comes to like meal prep, like what kind of meal prep, how are you eating like with your training? Do you have a special like food regimen being a wrestler and you have to keep in shape all the time?
It's definitely something that I like to focus on. I mean, I can't speak for everybody who wrestles, but I do think it's important because, I mean, it spills into how you are capable of performing in the ring, right? Like if your cardio is not up, if you're not in very good shape, you're not going to be able to move very fast. You're not going to. I think that there's like a degree of fitness that you have to kind of meet. So I track my food, like I track calories. I don't do it all the time. I'm not like super diligent about it, but I do try to be mindful of eating pretty clean for the most part, not always, but kind of like staying on par with what my goals are for sure. Traveling
So like
weekends, it's a little harder for sure though.
yeah, weekends is harder because like there's like farmers markets that you can go, ooh, I really want to go to that farmers market. They may have a cupcake stand there, but do I really want to eat that cupcake because it'll ruin my diet? Like
Yeah. Well, I mean, sometimes too, you're on the road, right? And you just kind of have to make do with what you have. It's a lot of convenience store food or like fast food, even, but you get kind of crafty and you start to figure out like alternatives that you could work with, and kind of forced me to be a little more creative with how I come up with healthy meals on the go, on the fly.
yeah, that's true because like, you guys do so many things like when you're traveling, do you ever have to like if you're going somewhere like if you're going from Vancouver, I almost said Vancouver, and work out my work, I was like, the lady I'm
Yeah.
working with is from Vancouver, and my friend's like, why'd you sound like Dracula? I was like, I don't know, I sound like Vancouver. Like, and like when you're traveling from Vancouver to like another part of Canada, do you ever have to like bring like a lunch and then like maybe pack a small dinner if you feel like eating it that day, or wait till the end of the show to eat it?
Oh yeah. Actually, what's funny is it who was it? It was Jody Threat. I think she kind of blew everyone's mind because she had it like so down to like exactly what she needed to eat, and she like blew everybody's mind when we saw how like just efficiently. She had packed her meals for the weekend because she was coming in from out of town, and she had like this little cooler and like these little prepped meal baggies with like she knew the protein, she knew how many carbs were in it and everything, and it was just like it kind of helped me. Now I kind of try to adopt that when I can. So I don't always pre-pack my meals and stuff, but I definitely try to. It's definitely a lot more cost effective that way too, because it can get pricey eating on the road all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, because like if you don't want to go to McDonald's, but you're like, I do want that Big Mac today, but I don't want to eat a fast food. No. You could always go
Yeah,
to
man, it's a
Panera.
constant battle. It's a constant battle trying to balance
And you
it
also
all.
it's also like you're living off what you make, made that show. Like I do want a Big Mac, but I do see a Panera Bread and they have yummy soups and they have a nice soup bowl, bread bowl, and stuff like that. But
Yeah,
do I want a
totally.
bowl bread? Do I want to eat a piece of bread with soup in the middle of the day? Like,
Where did the soup bowls go? Those used to be so popular. I don't see them anywhere anymore.
they
The
don't
soup
wait.
bowl.
Panera Bread doesn't do the soup bowls anymore.
Mm. I don't know about Panera Bread. We used to have them at Tim Hortons.
Oh, I heard a lot of good things about Tim Hortons.
Yeah, I guess you don't have. You're in the States, right?
No, we have Sheets here in Pennsylvania, and we have Sheets. We have Wawa,
Oh, that's crazy. Yeah, I've
and
never
another
been to
one.
either.
Sheets is really good. They have a lot of so big selection of like drinks, and they have like food, fast food. But they also
Oh,
have Wawa. Wawa has the same style, and you can order on a computer, and then the people will make it in the kitchen, make your sandwich or your smoothie or your coffee, your like mocha. Make
ooh,
your
that sounds
mocha.
good.
Look at me and my mocha. Priestess walking out and with a pinky up.
That's hilarious.
Priest is like, bless you, bless you. I got my mocha. She's happy, everybody. Let's clap. Why is Joe clapping? I don't know. I'm scared. She's taller than me. She flips her hair. Got my mocha.
Right.
Got my mocha. Like, I got my mocha ready for my trip. Priestess is ready to go on a trip.
Definitely
So
need coffee for the trip.
yeah, oh gosh. Like so when you're when you're on the trip and you stop at the gas station, do you always grab like a large coffee because you know you need it for the road?
Sometimes, yeah. I like to bring coffee from home most of the time, but yeah, I think every road trip needs one coffee from somewhere.
So when you're on your big road trips, what's your playlist? What's on the playlist in the car? What kind of music do we got? If we made a playlist right now of like 1 to 10, what would be what's the mix on the playlist?
To be honest, most of the time I'm not the one driving, so a lot of the time I don't really get to choose, but most of the time we listen to like a lot of old soul and funk. That's pretty standard for our road trips. Um, Sometimes classical. Sometimes we got podcasts on the go. But yeah, mostly like old soul music.
You should look up a
Keep the
band.
vibes high.
You know, there's a band you need to add to your playlist, and you should add them later on. Just put them on your phone and look them up. They're called Ripe. They're like
Ripe.
ripe, like a plant, like a vegetable that's ripe. Yep, RIPE. Am I wrong? Yeah, RIPE. They if you listen to them, they sound like the new Sublime.
Oh,
They have
really?
that.
Yeah, I'd probably
Yeah,
listen.
they have that. They have that sound to them that it sounds like has they don't I don't think they curse, but they're like their music makes you sway and bob and move around. And the lead
Yeah,
singer is this big chubby guy with a Hawaiian shirt on.
I
And
love that.
he got a big afro, a white boy with an afro, and he could sing. He's got a good voice, like a really nice. He makes you move. I've seen them twice, and I was like, "Oh, I like this band. I really like them." Yeah, they have a song called "Little Bit
Yeah,
Louder,"
definitely
and
gonna
it's
check.
just like they have trumpets. they play a saxophonist, trumpist, a guitarist, and it's just like, oh, the music it just makes you like bob in the car. Oh my gosh, it's like they're good.
Like a little bit ska.
Yeah, it's
Is
like
that what you
it
call that
almost
song?
ska. Almost has like a ska sound. Yeah, they sound like ska music a little bit. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
sweet. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna check that out.
they're really good. I met them at Bethel Woods in New York. I met the lead singer, and I got his autograph, and we took a picture together. He's like, nice to meet you, man. I was like, yeah, man. My friend's like, why'd you just talk like a stoner? I'm like, we're at Bethel Woods. I gotta talk like a hippie. Yeah, man. Like,
Brings it out of you.
bro, the hippie came out, and I was like, yeah, man. I was like, right out of me. I was like, mom's like, really? I was like, why? We're at Bethel Woods, where Woodstock happened. Yeah, man. Um, So, who made your gear? Do you have any new gear that you've debuted this year?
Yeah, I did. I made my own gear.
Wow. So, what are the
Yeah,
thoughts
my
on it?
first
Did you
gear.
have any ideas when you were making it? Did you want to like that style you came out with? Was that like the original, or you had some other ideas?
No, I was inspired by China, and I always loved her gear. Like when I was younger, I didn't watch a whole lot of wrestling, but my grandma, she loved it. Like it was all I ever remember being on her TV. And I
Mm.
just remember seeing China and thinking as a kid, like, whoa, she was just so different. Like, you didn't see women doing that all the time. And you definitely didn't see women that looked like her, you know? So she was like the first real woman that I think I can say really impacted me in wrestling. And I didn't really like stick with wrestling throughout my life until recent years, but she always did. I always followed her journey on like the celebrity shows and stuff like that. And I just thought she was so cool. And I ended up kind of adopting a gimmick that had like the darker vibes of like black and leather and stuff like that anyway. And I have needed to come up with new gear, so I just figured I'll just try to make it. And I liked her style, so I used her gear as inspiration. And I just took the old gear I had and some leftover stuff, and I turned some old pants into new gear.
Awesome. I just interviewed a young lady that's from England. That's a China cosplayer,
I
and she's
just found out about her like a couple days ago. That's amazing. She looks
She
just like
is
her.
so sweet. You should DM her. She's training to become a professional wrestler. She's a bodybuilder. You
Yeah,
should
she's an
DM her.
amazing.
You
I will
should
for sure.
definitely you
Start
should
following
DM
her.
her and see if she become willing to come to Canada so you could train her a little more because she's training in England. And I'm thinking if she talks to you, you give her more advice on the wrestling aspect of it, and maybe she'll come closer to coming to America. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
And she's really sweet, super funny, super sweet. And she was like, now I want to be a wrestler after being a bodybuilder all those years, different type of like training and everything. And I was like, there it is. There it is. Like,
It totally is, though. Even though they go hand in hand. Like I was actually just talking to a woman that I see a lot at the local promotion here, and she is a bodybuilder. Like she's a professional bodybuilder, and she competes a lot. And I was like, "You look like you fit the part to be out there wrestling too. Like, have you ever thought about it?" And she's like, "I'd love to," and she jokes about it here and there with her girlfriend because they both look like they should be in the ring, but they love training so much. Like all it takes is one injury to put them out of the gym too. So it's kind of like it's a high risk.
yeah,
Definitely a high risk when you have like a career built off of it to that degree for sure.
yeah, completely. It's just like I've heard so many horror stories. Like these people, they're doing their squats on that machine, with all that weight on there, and then one wrong move, and they click their leg the wrong way, and then there goes their kneecap, done for the whole season. Like, you know what I mean? You guys do everything for our fun watching entertainment of wrestling. But it's like, do you ever like before you go, like when you get to the show, before you get your gear on, is there ever like a little time that you sit to yourself in the corner and just say, "Wow, I can't believe I'm doing this"?
Every time. Every time, especially when you're right at the curtain and you're about to go out, like there's always a little piece of you that's like, oh god, you don't know if you're nervous and excited at the same time, and you feel sick but excited too, and it's just like a whirlwind of emotions. And every time right before you break the curtain, you're like, why am I doing this, until you break out, and then you're like, oh yeah, this is why. This is totally why. It's a weird
Awesome.
feeling, but yeah.
Like, before we go, Priestess, if you have any if my fans want to follow you on social media, how can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Priestess Lee, or on Facebook. I've got a Facebook page, Priestess Lee too. Or if you want to add me as a friend, I have another Facebook account. It's called the name is Lee Ross. So primarily there. Or if you're local, come to one of our shows. I work a lot at Apex, Canadian Apex Wrestling here in Vancouver. Or if you're local to the island, Vancouver Island, pro wrestling. I'm primarily there right now.
Awesome. If my fans want to pick up any Priestess merch, is there any like merch out there that people could buy? Is Priestess, you there? Is there any merch that my fans could pick up of yours? Okay. Priestess, I want to thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I'm Joe Panther III, and we will catch you in the next one.